Okay, it's a wonderful morning. We learned so far how to factor and solve a quadratic function and also how to use the quadratic formula when we are solving a quadratic function. But then I only showed you quadratic functions that are actually in standard form. So what if all of a sudden you come up with a question that looks like this and is not in standard form? Well, I don't want you to get stumped, okay? So that just means you have to do one more step. You have to change this into standard form. And then from that point on, you figure out if you can factor or not. And if you cannot factor, then you're going to use the quadratic formula to solve. In this case, I'm just gonna go ahead and use the quadratic formula because I want us to practice this, okay? All right, so then let's go. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we add m squared to both sides of the equal sign. The reason why we're doing that? Because we want to make sure that everything is on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, there's just a 0. Or you could do it the other way. Everything on the left-hand side 0 and everything else on the left-hand side, just a 0 and everything else on the right-hand side. But this time, I choose to have everything on the left-hand side and the right-hand side is just a 0. So there you go. I have 2m squared, and then I have negative 7m, and then that equals, wait, this one already got canceled because negative m squared plus m squared is 0, and that is 3. Right? We can't have a 3 over there though, so we're going to go ahead and subtract 3 from both sides as well. Keep in mind that the 7m over here, negative 7m, and the negative 3 cannot be combined. Okay? So there you go, 2m squared minus 7m minus 3, and that equals 0, because 3 minus 3 is 0. So then from here, we're going to use the quadratic formula. And I know that it gets kind of boring, but let me try and go a little bit fast, okay? For those of you who kind of sort of get it. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is write the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. There you go. So now all we have to do now is identify the a, b, and c. We know that the 2 is an a, the negative 7 is a b, and the negative 3 is a c. So I'm going to have to write it here again because otherwise I get confused. Okay? So then now let's do this again. As you can see, I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. So you get sick and tired of it, but also you'll learn it. So now I'm copying the formula, x equals, and then I have to copy the negative because that's part of the formula, right? And then I'm going to find out what my b is, which is negative 7, and I'm going to put that in parentheses. Don't forget you ended up with 2 negatives here because one negative is part of the formula, and this negative is part of b. Okay, now let me continue copying the equation, plus or minus, and the square root. I'm just copying what I see right here, okay? Now I gotta write the b, and b is again negative 7. So I put that in parentheses, and then you see the squared, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy it, minus, and then 4. And then you see the a here, I'm gonna copy that in parentheses, okay? And then c is negative 3 in parentheses. Okay, and this is all over 2, and then a. A is 2. And I've noticed that a lot of people forget the denominator. Don't do that. You got to make sure that you have that down as well. Okay? All right, so now let's simplify. And I keep telling you that the easiest way to do this is to just do the front and the bottom part first, because that's easy. 2 negatives make a positive, so I'm going to put positive 7, okay, and then plus minus the square root, and we'll deal with the square root a little bit later. Let's look at the denominator. 2 times 2 is 4. I'm going to put 4 over here, okay? So now let's keep going. 7 squared, negative 7 squared is 49, so I put 49. And then now this part, a lot of people get confused over here. I have a negative 4 times 2 times negative 3. There's 2 negatives, so That's going to be a positive. Then 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Okay? We're almost done. X equals 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 plus 24 is 73. Okay? This is all over 4. So let's see if I can actually factor out the 73 and see if anybody can escape the Sleeping Beauty's castle. But I think 73 is a prime number. I think it really is, okay? So I'm just gonna leave it like that. It's just 1 times 73. So then that's your answer. But what did I say yesterday? You gotta make sure you identify this as the answer, but also you should be able to separate the two. So it could be x equals 7 over 4 plus minus square root of 73 over 4. Or it could also be something like x equals 7 plus square root of 73 over 4. Or x equals 7 minus square root of 73 all over 4. So I want to make sure that you identify all of this stuff. And then of course, I'm never going to just finish my lesson like this, right? I'm going to go ahead and give you more questions so you can go ahead and solve them. Okay? All right. So here are 4 extra questions that obviously I want you to solve today. And I'm hoping that you would understand this, okay? Don't forget, there's a lot of these questions on the final. So let's focus, all right? Please raise your hand if you have any questions, and this is all we have to do until the end of the period. You can tell that this is really important. Please make sure you grab a hold of Miss Choi and ask her questions or the Smarticle next to you, all right? Thank you. Have a great day.